very quickly. If you want the non-spoiler version, I will link that in the description and down below. So, alright, let's get right to it. Well, the reviews have been, as I've been looking at them, very brutal. I would say they're slightly unfair, but the general consensus, I think, is harsh but true. So, since this is minor spoilers, let's get right to it. Essentially, I guess at the end of the day, this is spider horror because it's the spider that's the real enemy shown at the beginning, and we wait a very long time to get back to the spider. And there we are. So they did a little misdirection with prominently showing the teddy bear. The teddy bear is not really the real problem, it's the spider, I guess, in the fantasy realm. And that's the real film is the mother and daughter getting back into that realm, defeating the spider thing, and there you go. So why all this misdirection? The real deadly thing about this thing is it's just very, very boring, and getting to the spider part at the end just took a very, very long time for no reason. Allegedly, we get character development and we get immersed in this world, and some scenes would have been critical for that. Yes, I grant that, because you have to establish, like, oh, the power of fantasy and imagination. All right, that's fine. But that took so long. So I don't understand why they just didn't trim it a little bit more. That said, every artist will be different, but I think that's where it's also in a very tenuous ground is that we know that Blumhouse puts out very corporate products, but boy, this one is very, very cheap, even by Blumhouse standards. There just isn't visually too many things that are compelling. I like the fantasy realm myself and would give it at least one more point than most people, but some people were not impressed at all. I think people exaggerate that, oh, it's just a hallway that's blue and some lights. No, they did a little bit more than that, but it's extremely basic, like, oh, staircases that go nowhere, kind of a chessboard pattern. It's just a very, very basic design, and I get it. It's hard work being on the film, so asking people to go the extra mile, that's true, but that separates Imaginary from Oppenheimer, where Nolan will be very hard and push people to the limits. This one is not pushing anything. If you've seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, see that over this. There's really no point for this. This is just a kind of very weak version of a Freddy film without Freddy. That is about it. Some people are comparing this to Hellraiser, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, but again, Hellraiser had an incredible imagination. It was also very graphic and very spooky. This is none of those things. Again, it's just not horrifying. It's not really even that funny. There are some jokes here. It just feels like what it is. It's a watered down version of Hellraiser and Nightmare on Elm Street smushed together for a PG-13 audience, and that is about it. So it's a very kind of very calculated product. And I guess if you can get into its groove, that's great. But if you have the expectation for very innovative horror or even very well done horror, this will be very disappointing on many grounds. So it's a very severe grade, but I would have to give this a 3 out of 10. I cannot recommend this in good faith, and that is Imaginary.